I suppose you wonder why I've called you here tonight. Number one, I'm very sad. This is the last night of this play. We've had 6 wonderful months here. I've got the best cast I've ever had. So I'm sorry that this is the last night. But during the next year, we'll be putting out other plays. The next play coming out is The Wonderful Ice Cream Soup. And later next year, we're going to do The Martian Chronicles, again, about the planet Mars. I want to talk about Mars because tonight's a very special night for me. There's a gentleman here tonight I've known for many years. Back 40 years ago, this man came to my house with Carl Sagan, the astronomer, to talk about our landing on Mars with the Viking lander for the first time. He was the president of Jet Propulsion Lab, and I was out there for both landings, and I was down at Cape Canaveral when we took off for the moon. And right now, the latest issue of National Geographic has an article about me and the planet Mars. I grew up on Lowell Avenue in Tucson when I was 6 years old. It was named for the astronomer, Mr. Lowell, who photographed Mars. So I fell in love with Mars very early in my time. So I'm so honored that tonight this gentleman here, who was the president of Jet Propulsion Lab when we landed on Mars for the first time a couple of years ago, and I want you to see him. His name is Bruce Murray, and he's here, the president of Jet Propulsion Lab. Bruce, where are you? So, enough of that. This play is a result of my being in love with libraries. I started going to the library when I was 7 years old, and I took 10 books out at a time. I became a librarian. All the library people said, "You can't read 10 books in a week." I said, "Yes, I can. By God, yes, I can." And when I was 12 years old, the very first thing that I wrote was about the planet Mars. It was a sequel to one of the books by Edgar Rice Burroughs about the planet Mars. He did Thuvia, Maid of Mars, The Princess of Mars, and all these other Martian books. And all my friends said, "You mustn't write about Mars." I said, "I can't help myself," because Edgar Rice Burroughs taught me about the planet Mars. He said, what you do is you go out on the lawns of summer and you raise your arms and you say to Mars, "Take me home." And when I was 12 years old, I went out and said to Mars, "Take me home." It took me home. I never came back. So when they began to burn books in the streets of Berlin when I was 15, when Hitler did that, I thought, my God, what a villain that is. To burn books, to burn my life, to burn the library. So I had to write my first long novel about this, and this became my play that I wrote for Charles Lawton when I was 35 years old. The first version I did wasn't good enough, and 10 years later I did another version that worked better. But Charles Lawton was a big influence on my life too. I've had many loves from many people that helped me become a decent writer. And you're going to see tonight my favorite people in my favorite play. And one last detail, you'll be noticing I'm wearing a medal around my neck. It was given to me 3 months ago. The French government sent the French ambassador to America, to LA, to give me a dinner and present me with this medal. I'm now a commander of arts and letters for all of France and all of Paris. And I command you to love the play and to love me.